Um, and so I like the challenge. People, that's the criticism. Fight someone in their prime who's a beast. I think people just want to see me lose. That's really what the message is behind it all.
Well, then fight somebody that is your age, your height, your weight, somebody that's a contender as of the moment, somebody that's in the top 15, somebody that's in the top 20, somebody that's in the top 100, somebody that you can fight that is a pound for pound, truly ranked fighter, and people will start going, yeah, okay, you're in business, Brody. Not whatever else you've been doing. You've been winning the fights, great, but you're losing right now more than you are gaining, and the conversation is becoming less and less about whether or not Paul is potentially a good fighter. The conversation is becoming increasingly about, man, are we allowing rigging to really happen right now in sports? You have journalists, you have professionals that are like Pierce Morgan of all people. You have these people that are saying, bro, your fights look rigged. In fact, he was given a ranking. Now, according to Ring Magazine, that ranking is being reviewed because people are complaining. Who have you fought? Who has this man gone after that when you look at it, you go, that's the guy right there. That was the test. And he passed that test with flying colors. You can't. You could look at the Fury fight and go, he did okay. It went the distance, but you can't look at that fight and call it a definitive fight. You can't look at the Fury fight and go, that's the one right there. Need way more than that. Now there's a whole other fight that he's calling out, and it's, Anthony Joshua, and, we'll see what happens. But the fact of the matter is, to this point, there's been nobody. Everybody's hoped, right? After a while, everybody's hoped. I hope Mike Tyson ends this. I hope so-and-so ends this. We're tired of seeing this. I mean, come on, man. Dude fought a former basketball player, and it got on his overall record. Let that sink in. Most of the guys, Ben Askren, etc., they haven't been boxers. And there is a difference between boxing and MMA. McGregor would tell you there's a huge difference. I got to get ready for half of a fight. Well, the first couple of rounds, sure, but even then, the hesitancy, there were some openings that he had that he didn't take because he wasn't accustomed to it. His first instinct was to give up his back or to try and shoot in, things that you couldn't do anymore. The transition is not what people think it is. It is a martial art, it's a combat sport, but it's still different. At some point, it's got to be a real boxer. And this is literally all the time that I'm going to spend on this because there's no point in giving him that much attention. There's really no point in giving it to him at all, but it is sports and it's out there, so it is what it is. And speaking of, obviously, MMA, boy, that lasted 13 days, by the way. Jon Jones claims that he's entered the pool. Now, it was the moment of this broadcast. It's unconfirmed by Dana White. That's as of the moment. And to be honest with you, I don't know if the Dana White being enthralled with Jon Jones show was over. Obviously, this all came directly after President Trump goes, oh, by the way, a year from now, we're going to have the UFC right here at the warehouse. They're going to square up right here. They're going to put on a show. We're going to watch the UFC. So then, of course, him and McGregor, they bumped up. And like I said a couple of days ago, I was like, oh, it's that time of year when McGregor pretends he's going to get into a fight. And then he realizes that he's going to have to actually fight. And then he has to figure out a reason to back out of that fight. So, regardless, the point here is Jon Jones. And that whole thing was a mess. And we have a heavyweight champion now that is heavyweight champion by necessity, by way of a belt being basically forfeited through retirement, by way of what? We had an interim champ in Tom Aspinall, which I don't agree with. He held that belt for over 19 months, waited that entire time for Jon Jones to make up his mind. Jones only had one title defense. That was against Miocic. And ever since then, it's just been a free-for-all. And both guys have been sitting around waiting. Jon Jones wakes up one day and goes, "Oh, forget this. I'm going to retire." Aspinall had essentially said, "I think he's already retired, so I've got different plans anyway." Dana White went on Jim Rome, claimed that the fight wasn't done and he was waiting for the fight to get done and he was going to wait a couple of weeks. And then after that, he was going to move on. But then after Jones retired the next day, he goes, "Oh, no, we had the fight done. He's backing out right now." We will never know what really happened with that situation. Here's what we do know is Jon Jones didn't post anything for about 6 days after he went on a tirade claiming that he had told Dana and them back in November, "I'm basically retired, man. I'm probably not going to fight." Well, that's fine. But basically and probably are different from "I am." Saying "I am retired" means I am retired. Saying "I'm going to announce my retirement day on this date" means that I am officially going to retire on this date. And then he gatekept his legacy by handing the belt to Aspinall, knowing full well that Aspinall would have to go on the most ridiculous title run of all time in order to be able to supersede Jones. Now Jones, he announces he's going to come back and what? He's going to fight the champion. So basically what? Did he do all this to drop the belt only to pick the belt back up and go, "I won, ha, joke's on everybody"? Is this his ploy to try and get the alleged $30 million that's been out there floating around that whole conversation? Was this Jon Jones steering this the entire time, waiting for the right scenario? Knowing that the Whitehouse is going to be a mega payday? I mean, I have a hard time digesting or subscribing to any of this. I have a hard time believing anything that Jones or Dana White is saying right now. And I have a really hard time accepting that what Jon Jones or Dana White did during this entire situation was acceptable, because it wasn't. Dana allowed somebody to fool around with an entire weight division. He let the interim champ also hold up the class simultaneously while waiting for the official champ. He allows these interim championship belts, which are literally paper championship belts, but they drive up more costs because he gets to say, "We're having a title fight tonight." So he gets to drive up, the ticket sales and the price of it and stick it on a pay-per-view and make you pay an inordinate amount of money for it and everything else. And, more UFC Fight Pass stuff and everything else that comes along with those segments and those fights and everything that they do that drives up all the revenue, all the promotional material. They spend money on it, sure, but they also get that money back easily. And so now what he's done is he's given the entire UFC a bad look, because now the political game is in full force. It started with Conor McGregor, who again has announced his fight. He got to be a 2-division champion, hold up both divisions while he went to go fight Floyd Mayweather, then come back and not do anything for how long? It got to the point where Dana had to literally threaten him, "If you don't do something, we are going to strip you. Do you understand?" So Dana let it fly with Conor, and then Jon Jones had to have seen that and go, "Pfft, if he's going to let it fly with Conor, I know he's going to let it fly with me. Look at the way he talks about me." So Jon Jones started pulling a similar move. This is a bad, horrific look for the UFC. None of this is good. And the only way to put a stop to it is if Dana White puts his foot down right now and he says, "No, you're not fighting. You're not fighting. That's all there is to it. You played with the belt. We're done. I allowed it. I take responsibility. The buck stops here. We're done. McGregor, the last time I gave you a fight, You backed out at the last minute. I lost a lot of money on ticket sales. I had to give a lot of tickets back. I had to do all these things after I set up and paid all this money on this promotional material for you. No, you're not fighting either. Not on that day. If you want to earn it, great. Come back and fight who I tell you to fight. Take this particular fight, and then we'll talk. And you've got to win, by the way. That's the stipulation. The same to me would be fair, Jon Jones. Hey, man, I allowed this. My bad. You want a shot? Here's what we're going to do. You're going to take this fight. If you win, good. You've got 6 months. You could be ready in 3 months for a fight, the both of you. You got another 6 or 7 months after that to train, provided obviously you don't suffer any real damage, which I clearly would hope. That wouldn't happen to either one of them. But the point of what I'm saying is, to me, that's the answer. And if I'm Dana White, I'm especially hard on both of them to prove my point and to send a message to everybody else now. And I understand that we just had another 2-division champion, and that's fine. I'm telling them, you're going to have to hurry up and start defending both of them belts, and after this, we're done with this. No more 2-division champions. We're not having interim belts. We're not having in-between times. We're not having in the meantime champion. We're not doing that anymore. We're not having to wait and see what we can do about unifying belts and all this other stuff. We're not doing that anymore. We are going to have one champion in every division. It's got to be that way. What other sport can you name that allows multiple champions or a champion to be a champion in multiple divisions? It doesn't happen. There's one champion. It makes it clear. The Philadelphia Eagles will be Super Bowl defending champions. The WBC for years made it clear there was really only one recognized heavyweight, middleweight, and lightweight champion of the world. For years, the WBC would not recognize any other. They wouldn't recognize world light or, light heavyweight, strawweight, bantamweight, all this stuff. They refused. All these other titles started popping up, WBA, IBFF, everybody else. Everybody who wanted to create a championship belt was more than within their reason to do so. But the World Boxing Commission only looked at it as, we do this and this only. It needs to go back to that. And the UFC needs more overseeing, because this political nonsense is exactly that, political nonsense. They're stepping in with Jake Paul. Nobody feels like got to step in with the UFC. Come on. All right, everybody, I am Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. I'm wherever you're listening to podcasts. Take your device to play the Drew Duncan Sports Show. Everybody stay safe, take care of yourselves, and have a wonderful rest of your night and or day.